the director had already spoken to me about this while we were doing Aparajit. He said, there's a script I have in mind, you know, so I said, yeah, it sounds very interesting. And now, 3 years ago, I mean, he suddenly came up with this and he said, remember that script I told you about? Shall we do it? I said, wow, sir, what a script. And it started immediately. I realized that without prosthetics, without CG, without PC Sriram sir, without Rahman's music or anything that's there in the making right now, even then, the story on its own, so I know that it would make a very good film even on its own. So when that's combined with his largeness and whatever we've put in the team, I think it's something like any actor would die to be a part of. The Beast, that's one. Then I'm the Hunchback. Then I'm a bodybuilder, and then I'm a model. So I had transformations for all of them. Very different body language, very subtle changes, but they be very different when you see them on screen. And physically, you'll feel like you're watching. Like, I mean, a South Indian would know it's all me, but anyone from the North would definitely, unless they are very familiar with my films, would think that they're 4 different characters. I think that's something I'm very fond of doing in all my films. I like to really look different, and I'll have this particular vision in my mind, an image of maybe if it's a Sami, he looks like this, he's, you know, built like this, he's massive, but he's a cop, so he's muscular, but he doesn't have a slim waist, he needs to look like a cop, so, and his hairstyle, so I'll try to get into that mold. And if it's Dil, it's like a guy who wants to become a cop, so he's very slim, fit, and you know he dresses. So everything, I always have this image which I try to adhere to, and that excites me. So when I get a chance like in Aparajit where I could do 3 different roles with body, I wasn't very physically not very different, a little more strong. One will have a pot belly, but whatever, and Remo will be a little more cool. This one I knew that I could do drastic changes, and you need a character like that to perform. You can't just do it for any film. So I knew that this was that character I'd been waiting for. What is nice about I would feel is the canvas keeps changing. It's not like, okay, you have this huge canvas and everything it's not that. It's this and suddenly it becomes something else and then you're wondering, wow, and then something becomes very murky and then you're there and you're pulled into someone's world which is all dull and dark and, you know, it's gruesome and whatever. And then suddenly you're back to some beautiful, enchanting locales and then you're back to one place which is very real and very, you know, lower class or whatever, and like it's like slums and, you know, that kind of a thing. And the film per se will that'll suddenly become Pollachi, it becomes Jaipur, it becomes China, it becomes Bhubaneswar. We've shot, you wouldn't believe, what's amazing is we wanted a house for one particular character which had to be large, magnificent, but a house that has not been used for any shooting. That kind of a house doesn't exist in India because people don't give their houses for shooting. You know, and if it's there for shooting, everybody uses it. So we actually went to Thailand just to shoot one scene, which is about like 3-4 shots. The whole unit went to to Thailand for that. So that's the kind of input he's put in the movie. See, he's been on a good wicket for the past 20 years. He's been on the top of the pile. It's very difficult. You slide sometime. He never did. And he's leagues away. He's like number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. He's like that. You know, the next one is around 6th or 7th. He's somewhere else. That's very it's not an easy thing to do because, you know, creativity and, you know, cinema, especially in the South, it keeps metamorphosing every few months or years. It becomes something totally different. You have this huge new bunch of directors, new bunch of actors. That's what's been happening. Which is why this 3 years, I'm just sitting and thinking, I've seen one, you know, so many films and so many new directors, so many new actors have come in, and some of them have gotten very popular and disappeared also. It's like that. So how does one man stay on top all this while and still be in touch with, you know, the pulse of the audience? And that means he's very young at heart. He's thinking like them because our core audience are the youth. So he's thinking, he's able to know what they want. It's a very difficult thing. Even as a generation, what you are, and as you grow and as your children grow, you realize that after a point, you're wondering why you're doing, but they've changed, they become something else, and they're not doing what you did. You know, it's like that. But which means even an audience is going to keep changing even more. But how is he doing that? But he has been doing it. So which means he's very confident about his craft. And when he does something like this, I'm sure he senses that this is going to be a benchmark, it's going to set a benchmark, or it's going to be something like, you know, a path breaker or whatever. So I'm sure he senses that. But he's not very blatant about it and he's not very brash about it. He'll say, I believe, he'll always keep saying, I believe, blah, 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 but I believe, which means I think, but, you know, I hope it is so, and that is very nice for where he is to speak like that. I'm sure it won't disappoint you. You would have seen the trailers, and I know some of you would have been mildly shocked, some of you would have been excited, some of you would have been purely blown out of your minds to see some of the visuals. Trust me, there are lots more in the movie, and it's a wonderful film. It's something which I feel is very special to all of us in the unit, and I'm sure that you will like it too. Please watch it in the theater. Please try not to watch it on pirated VCDs or DVDs.